The Night Visitor. The clock struck midnight, its faint chime echoing through the empty house. Jack Coleman, a 22-year-old college student, leaned back in his chair, letting out a tired sigh. His parents were out of town for a business trip, leaving him home alone in their quiet suburban. Normally, Jack enjoyed the solitude, but tonight, there was an eerie stillness in the air, as if the universe was holding its. Jack put down his book, rubbing his eyes. The suspenseful crime novel he'd been reading was gripping, but it wasn't helping his growing unease. He decided to stretch his legs and glanced out of the large living room window. What he saw froze him in place. Standing just beyond the glow of the porch light was a man. He was tall, unnervingly still, and dressed in an immaculate black suit, the kind you'd wear to a wedding or his head tilted slightly to the side, and his hands hung limply by his sides. One hand, however, held a knife. The blade glinted under the faint light in Jack's stomach. For a moment, Jack thought it was some kind of bizarre prank, but the man's unwavering stare shattered that hope. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't even. His face was devoid of emotion, except for a slight twitch in his jaw, like a predator sizing up its. "Hey!" Jack shouted, his voice cracking slightly. "Get off my property. I am calling the cop." The man didn't move. Instead, his lips curled into the faintest of smirks. Then, with a low, gravelly voice, he replied, "You can do that, but don't look." The words sent a chill down Jack's spine. His hand fumbled for his phone, and he quickly dialed 911, his eyes never leaving the figure outside. The operator answered, and Jack stammered, "Here is a man outside my house. He's holding a knife." As Jack described the situation, he risked a glance down at his phone screen to confirm his address. When he looked back up, the man was gone. A sudden noise made Jack's heart jump a creak from the back of the house. His mind raced. The back door! He had forgotten to lock it. Panic surged through him as he realized the intruder might already be in. Jack grabbed the baseball bat he kept by the couch and crept toward the staircase leading downstairs. His breaths came in shallow gasps as he descended, one step at a time, the wooden stairs groaning under. The dim light from the living room barely reached the lower level, casting long, ominous shadows. At the bottom of the stairs, Jack stopped. There, standing in the middle of the living room, was the man. The knife dangled from his hand, and his head was tilted at an unnatural angle. His hollow eyes fixed on Jack as he whispered, "I told you not to look away." Jack's grip on the bat tightened. His body screamed at him to run, but his legs felt like lead. The man took a slow step forward, his movements deliberate and meant. "Get out of my house!" Jack yelled, his voice shook. The man tilted his head the other way, as if considering Jack's demand. Then, in a flash, he lunged forward. Jack swung the bat wildly, but his fear clouded his aim. The man sidestepped effortlessly and grabbed Jack's wrist, twisting it with surprising strength. Jack cried out in pain, dropping the. He stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest like a drumbeat. Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced the night air. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows, illuminating the scene in eerie burn. The man turned his head toward the noise, his expression unreadable. Then, with a calmness that sent shivers down Jack's spine, he released Jack and stepped. The front door burst open, and two police officers stormed in, guns drawn. "Drop the knife! Hands in the air!" one of them shouted. The man didn't comply. Instead, he smiled a chilling, empty smile and raised the knife. The officers charged at him, but he moved with inhuman speed. The living room erupted into chaos as the man dodged their attempts to restrain him. His movements almost animal. One of the officers tackled him to the ground, but the man fought back with a ferocity that defied logic. Finally, a gunshot rang out, and the man screamed in pain, clutching his. Even then, he didn't give up. He pushed himself to his feet, blood staining the carpet, and bolted toward the back. Before anyone could stop him, he smashed through the glass and disappeared into the dark. The officers chased after him, but their efforts were in vain. The man was gone, leaving behind only shattered glass and a trail of blood. Jack sat on the floor, his whole body trembled. The officers tried to reassure him, but their words felt distant. And the days that followed were a blur of police reports and sleepless nights. Despite their efforts, the authorities never found him. Jack installed new locks, security cameras, and even a motion sensor system, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every creak of the house a sign of his. And then, one night, Jack found a note slipped under his front door. It was written in shaky, almost childlike handwriting. I told you not to look away.